Your life isn't falling apart, it's falling into place. And the map you're clinging to is the cage, ready to burn it. Listen, the noise you hear is not ruin, it's rearrangement. The walls that feel like they're closing in are simply the borders of an old self-losing authority. The confusion you fear is the quiet arrival of a truer alignment, whispering, "Not here, not this, not anymore." What looks like endings are careful edits, removing what can't travel with who you're becoming. And yes, the old map trembles in your hands, lines you trusted, routes you swore by, curling at the edges like paper meeting flame. But look closer, beneath the ash, a horizon widens. Paths you never drew are forming. Not by accident, but by design you couldn't yet see. You were told certainty is safety, that clarity arrives first and courage follows later. The opposite is true. Courage steps first, clarity answers after. The map you memorized was a comfort, not a compass. It taught you to trace yesterday, not to meet what's being written now. That's why the familiar feels heavy, and the unknown feels strangely honest. Heavy things try to keep you. Honest things try to free you. And freedom has a sound. A soft crack like a shell giving way. A door unlatching in a house you forgot you owned. If you feel unraveling, don't mistake it for defeat. Threads come loose so the pattern can be rewoven. Names you wore, roles you carried, ideas you defended. Each one is stepping aside with quiet respect, not because you failed them, but because their assignment is complete. You do not need to explain your turning to anyone who refuses to see the turn. You were not made to live forever at the altitude where you learned to breathe. New air is calling, new heights are near. So let the old map curl, let the ink run, let the cage reveal itself as paper, and paper reveal itself as smoke. The ground is not disappearing. It's widening. The silence is not empty, it's precise. And the change you fear is not a storm against you. It's a wind at your back. Keep listening. The path is speaking your name. You can hear it if you're quiet enough. The soft crack of certainty giving way, not a collapse. A clearing. What once felt like iron rules now sounds like thin glass under warm water. The labels you wore begin to loosen. The roads you worship stop insisting on themselves. And in that loosened space, something simple arrives, truth without ornament. It doesn't shout. It doesn't bargain. It just stands there, unafraid of silence, unafraid of your questions, unafraid of being new. The mind keeps asking, but where is the route? The heart replies, here is the direction. One lives by diagrams, the other lives by alignment. The old map promised comfort, straight lines, tidy arrows, destinations that made sense to those watching from the sidelines. But comfort and calling rarely sit in the same chair. When you feel the chair wobble beneath you, it isn't betrayal, it's invitation. The floor beneath is wider than the furniture above. Step down, you will discover the room was always larger than the chair. People may not understand your quiet turn. They'll ask why you set down what once fit your name so well. Smile gently. Let them keep their weather if they must. You are learning the climate of your own horizon. Winds that carry, light that clarifies, rain that cleanses without erasing. What looks like a detour to others is often the straightest line in a language they don't read yet. And that's all right. Not every sunrise needs an audience to be real. So let the last fragments of certainty fall, softly, respectfully. Bless what carried you this far, then loosen your grip. There is a difference between abandoning and graduating. This is graduation. You are not walking away from meaning. You are walking toward the version of meaning that can finally hold you. Hear it again. The truth that steadies the spine. Your life isn't falling apart. It's falling into place. And the map you're clinging to is the cage. When paper burns, light appears. When light appears, the path does not beg. It beckons. There is a hush that arrives before every new chapter. A hush that feels like fog, yet carries the fragrance of rain. You stand between names, between versions, between the echo of what was and the whisper of what is forming. This in-between is not a mistake. It is a sanctuary with the lights dimmed so you can sense what sight alone cannot show. The world will call it confusion. Your deeper knowing will recognize it as arrangement. Pieces sliding into a pattern only visible when you stop forcing yesterday to explain today. Think of the seed that must open to sky. It looks like breaking from the outside. But if you could listen to its center, you would hear organization, not chaos. The same quiet order is gathering in you. Old roles loosen like threads. Untrue obligations dissolve without a fight. You are not being emptied as punishment. You are being cleared for precision. The room of your life needed space for what is finally worthy to enter. This is why familiar doors close, why certain conversations thin, why some ambitions feel strangely second-hand. Not because you failed them, because they completed you for a season, and now bow out with dignity. Honor them. Then face the horizon that does not explain itself, and yet feels unmistakably right. There is a firmness beneath the softness here, a calm that does not perform. You are learning the difference between noise that impresses and truth that anchors. So if today feels uncharted, let it be uncharted. Let the map curl at the edges without rushing to redraw it. The path ahead is not demanding a performance. It is asking for sincerity. Stand as you are, steady, attentive, honest, and notice how the ground answers. Not with spectacle, but with alignment. What seemed like pieces are fitting. What felt like silence is speaking. What looked like falling apart is, in fact, the architecture of your becoming quietly locking into place. There comes a moment when the cost of pretending outweighs the comfort of belonging. You feel it like a soft ache behind the ribs. A tug toward what is honest, even if it is new. The old agreements, smile here, nod there, carry what no longer fits begin to loosen their hold. Not with anger, not with noise, but with a calm certainty that does not need witnesses. This is the quiet exchange, trading approval for alignment, applause for truth, speed for sincerity. It is not rebellion, it is relief. Notice how relief changes the atmosphere. The air becomes generous. The days stop demanding an explanation for your peace. You look at what once frightened you and realize it only borrowed authority from your fear. Without that fear, it shrinks to its proper size. The path ahead does not ask you to perform grand gestures. It asks for one thing, integrity without spectacle. And when you offer that, life responds with a clarity that feels like sunlight arriving through a lattice, gentle, patterned, precise. So let the exchange complete itself. Let the false urgency leave your shoulders. Let timelines that never belonged to you release their grip. You are not late. You are exact. You are not behind. You are being placed. And the placement has a wisdom beyond your schedule. When a door is meant for you, it does not shout, it stands open and steady, as if it has been waiting since the first day you were called by your true name. Pretending always begins as protection. Then one day it becomes a prison with velvet walls. You can live there for years. Well-dressed, well-spoken, well-affirmed, and still feel a hunger no praise can feed. That hunger is grace in plain clothes, asking you to retire the costume. Not because you failed at playing the part, but because the play has ended. The curtain fell quietly, and you are still on stage out of habit. Step off. Backstage is not darkness. It is the place where names are returned and faces can breathe. When you stop pretending, the world does not collapse. It rearranges. People who cherish the performance may step back. Those who cherish the person will draw near. Paths that asked for masks will close. Paths that welcome faces will open. You will discover how light your steps become when they are not carrying a story that isn't yours. Even your silence changes tone, less guarded, more grounded, less defensive, more true. This is the end of pretending, not an argument, not a headline. A gentle refusal to betray yourself for comfort. From here, choices clarify without cruelty. You choose what affirms your dignity, and you release what diminishes it. And as you do, an old sentence inside you completes. Your life isn't falling apart, it's falling into place. And the map you're clinging to is the cage. The paper burns. The path appears. And what appears does not hurry you. It honors you. It doesn't arrive with trumpets. It arrives like a room you've walked past 1,000 times, suddenly lit from within. Click, a small truth settles where noise used to live. You notice you are not chasing, only choosing. You are not performing, only present. The questions that demanded thunder now accept a whisper, and in that whisper, you hear the rhythm of right placement, not dramatic, not delayed, just correct. This is what falling into place sounds like. The soft closure of the wrong door, the sturdy hinge of the right one, the quiet yes of a life that no longer argues with itself. You may still feel tremors, old reflexes knocking on new walls, but the center holds. You speak gently, and your words carry weight. You move slowly, and your steps travel far. You go where dignity is native, not negotiated, and the map that once ruled your pocket becomes what it always was. Paper, not prophecy. The horizon you can sense is more reliable than ink. Every story has a weather system. Some are humid with worry, some brittle with control. When the old narrative melts, the air changes, clearer, lighter, faithful to what is instead of what should be. You remember how much energy it took to keep a plot alive that no longer loved you back. You remember the rehearsals, the careful lines, the applause that felt like dust. And then you remember something else. You are allowed to outgrow a role without indicting the season that gave it to you. So you offer gratitude without dragging yesterday into today. You release the script not with fire, but with warmth. You free everyone from holding the version of you that helped them sleep at night. And you free yourself from proving what is already evident. You are changing with grace. The ones meant to walk beside you will recognize the new tone in your voice. Less noise, more note. The melody was always there. The silence only made it audible. Becoming is not a spectacle. It is craftsmanship, a beam of honesty here, a column of patience there. Foundations poured in quiet faith. From the street, it may look like scaffolding and dust. From within, you can feel the proportions taking shape. Rooms that fit your breath, windows that welcome what is good, doors that open without performance. You are the site and the sanctuary, the permission and the plan. This is why haste feels unkind now. Rushing bends the beams, forcing misplaces the pillars. You are learning the sacred pace of strong things. They do not prove, they endure. They do not shout, they stand. And as the structure rises, you realize why the old map had to burn. It had no blueprint for this address. No borrowed diagram could tell you how to build a home out of your own truth. There will be voices that mistake your calm for indifference. Let them. Calm is not sleep. It is sight. It is the steadiness that arrives when you stop bargaining with what is and start honoring what is right. You do not move less. You move clean. You do not speak less. You speak clear. And clarity has a mercy to it. Firm without harm. Decisive without spectacle. Notice how calm reorganizes your days. Invitations that require you to shrink are now easy to decline. Paths that ask you to stand tall feel natural underfoot. You are less interested in arguments and more committed to alignment. Not because you fear conflict, but because harmony is finally affordable. This is not retreat, it is refinement. And refinement is how a life becomes precise. As the map turns to smoke, so do certain conversations. Not in anger, in completion. Some connections were chapters, not lifelong contracts. Bless them for what they held and for what they could not hold. Then notice who remains. Those who can sit with your quiet, who don't demand a performance to trust your path, who hear the music of your becoming and keep time without trying to conduct. The company you keep becomes a mirror. Around the right people, you do not audition, you arrive. Around the right people, your future is not a debate. It is a welcome. Let this be the measure now. Keep what strengthens your honesty and release what fragments it. You are building a life that does not wobble when the room goes silent. Those who value that strength will find you and stay. There is a moment, quiet, almost private, when the same street looks different. The same tasks carry a deeper ease. The same name feels newly true. The sky hasn't changed. You have the color you're seeing is alignment. Light landing where it once scattered. This is not a miracle you must chase. It is a season you recognize. You stop measuring progress by noise and begin measuring by peace. You'll notice your prayers become simpler, your gratitude less theatrical and more continuous. You don't ask for the wind to obey, you ask for a steady heart in any weather. And the heart answers by unclenching, by trusting what is right to remain and what is wrong to release. This is maturity without hardness, softness without surrendering your center. It looks good on you. Not all courage looks like storms. Much of it looks like small doors opened on ordinary days. A conversation you no longer postpone. A boundary spoken with kindness. A path you choose without applause. The world may not headline these moments, but heaven records them as turning points. Places where you chose truth over habit and grace over hurry. Gentle courage leaves fingerprints, less friction in your speech, more depth in your silence, fewer explanations, clearer intentions. You are discovering the strength of the soft answer, the authority of a peaceful step. And with each step, a sentence grows truer. Your life isn't falling apart. It's falling into place. And the map you're clinging to is the cage. The cage is gone. The air is wide. Walk. You do not owe anyone the version of you that kept them comfortable while it kept you small. You do not owe endless explanations for a path that was never theirs to begin with. What you owe is sincerity to your breath, your word, your measure. Sincerity is the currency that never devalues. Spend it freely. It buys back the years that performance tried to pawn. From this clarity, kindness becomes easier, not harder. You are kind because you are anchored, not because you are afraid. You forgive without reopening doors that drain your dignity. You say yes without promising your soul. This balance, firm and merciful, is the quiet mark of growth. It leaves no scorch marks, only clean ground. The deepest turns rarely make headlines. They happen in kitchens at dawn, in commutes without music, in the pause before a familiar answer. You feel the wheel shift by a few honest degrees, and everything downstream changes. No fanfare, no fireworks, just a life realigning to what is right. This is how great journeys begin, with a turn that almost no one sees, and a destination that only truth could name. Hold steady. Let the new heading prove itself in days and deeds. The ones who need noise will miss the miracle. The ones who know the value of quiet will nod and walk beside you. Either way, the path remains. And the path is faithful. Listen closely. There's a new tempo beneath your hours. It is unhurried without being slow, focused without being rigid. You are not led by alarms. You are led by what is correct. This tempo protects what matters and releases what pretends. It gives each task a rightful size and refuses to make idols of urgency. Urgency had its season. Wisdom has this one. With the new tempo comes a new timetable. Not late, not early, on time. On time for doors that do not slam, relationships that do not bruise, work that does not steal your name to sell your days. On time for a peace that feels like shelter, not escape. Keep this tempo. It will carry you farther than ambition ever did. One morning it happens without ceremony. The weight you've been carrying forgets your name. Not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. The same hallway feels wider. The same task breathes easier. You are no longer negotiating with what diminishes you. You are finished paying rent to rooms that won't let you stand at full height. This is not defiance. It is dignity. Quiet, steady, unquestioned. The old gravity loosens, and you realize it was never the ground that held you. It was your willingness to bow to what was smaller than your truth. That willingness is gone. In its place, a clean spine and a clear horizon. There is a silence that is not empty, it is articulate. It carries meanings too delicate for noise. You find it between the pulse and the breath, in the pause before a reply, in the doorway between one room of life and the next. In that silence, you don't beg for signs. You allow what is correct to stand without costume. The world will often confuse this with passivity. It is not. It is the strength of holding shape without shouting. And because you are no longer arguing with yourself, your presence speaks long before your words do. Hurry once felt like proof that you cared. Now it looks like proof that you doubted. Doubt rushes, trust arranges. When you stop sprinting after what has already chosen you, or away from what was never yours, time changes color, minutes widen. Choices clarify. You answer invitations with a simple measure. Does this keep faith with my peace? If yes, it fits. If no, it passes. No thunder. No apology. The most radical transformation is sometimes the simplest cadence, unhurried but exact. Not every closing is a loss. Some doors shut like a gardener's hands, protecting the soil for another season. Bless what ended without making an altar to it. Bless what didn't return without calling it betrayal. Bless even the mirages that taught you how to recognize water. Gratitude is not performance here. It is hygiene. It keeps the heart clean so the next offering can arrive without walking through ashes. When you bless what closed, you release what clung. And in that release, the path gains room to breathe. Many names found you over the years. Clever, useful, sometimes heavy. Today you keep fewer. You keep the name that fits across seasons, that does not flinch when days are thin or thick. You keep the name that honors your measure, truthful, merciful, exact. Let other labels fade like chalk in rain. The real name is carved deeper than weather. When you answer to it, your steps stop wandering for witnesses. You are witnessed already by the integrity that walks beside you. There was a time you tried to convince others you were on the right path. Now peace is your evidence. It is not vague. It is verifiable. You sleep like someone who no longer bargains with their own soul. You speak like someone who has retired from explaining the obvious. You choose like someone who knows that alignment is generous. It nourishes what is near and harms none. The proof is not in volume, but in fruit. Steadier days, kinder edges, a courage that doesn't need an audience to be real. Not every milestone looks like a banner on a wall. Some look like a message you no longer send, a room you no longer enter, a habit that quietly forgot you. Some look like the first honest no, the first unforced yes, the first day your heart did not rehearse an argument that never needed to happen. These aren't small, they are structural. They change the load, bearing walls of a life. Celebrate them without spectacle. They are proof that the foundation has been rebuilt where no camera could reach. Not all fire destroys. Some fire refines, burning away only what cannot carry meaning forward. The map that once felt sacred turns to a gentle smoke, and beneath it, contours of a path that always existed begin to show. This fire does not scorch your name. It clarifies it. It does not rage through rooms. It warms what remains. Stand near it without fear. The right kind of fire does not ask you to become someone else. It asks you to become fully who you are. Strength is not how loud you can be in a quiet room. It is how steady you can be when the room goes loud. True strength keeps form under pressure. It does not leak into quarrels or shrink under glances. It remembers the assignment, protect what is sacred, release what is not, carry what is yours without borrowing trouble. When strength is clean, mercy is easy. You can be firm without harm, clear without cruelty. This balance is not a trick. It is the natural posture of a life that knows its center. There comes a day when memory keeps its place. Teacher, not driver. Lessons remain, but the wheel turns forward. You no longer consult old storms to read new skies. You no longer measure today by yesterday's weather. Respect the past, retire its authority. The present has more accurate instruments. And the horizon you are answering now is not a repetition. It is a revelation, familiar only in its goodness. A clean goodbye does not bruise. It does not drag. It stands in gratitude for what was possible and clarity about what is not. You do not edit history to make leaving easier. You honor history by leaving well. This kind of farewell does not echo with regret. It rings with completion. And completion is kind. To both sides from this kindness. The next chapter does not inherit a war. It inherits a blessing. Arrival can be quiet, no trumpets, no spotlight. Just a day where the mirror agrees and the path does not argue. You notice how naturally your hours fit, how precisely your words land, how gently your breath moves through rooms that used to tighten your chest. This is arrival, not a stage, a state. And because it is a state, it travels with you. Where you go, it goes. What you touch, it steadies. From here, you can see why the turns had to happen. Why certain seasons felt like corridors. Why the map had to burn. Not as punishment. As preparation, the view is not triumph. It is clarity. You bless the younger version of you who kept walking when the lights flickered. You honor the days that held you while you learned the language of your own peace. And you understand the simplest truth of all. What is right does not rush you. It roots you. Your life isn't falling apart. It's falling into place. And the map you're clinging to is the cage. The sentence that once sounded like thunder now feels like architecture. Load-bearing, precise. You no longer need to clutch the old diagram. The contours of your path are felt from the inside out. Where there was force, there is fidelity. Where there was panic, there is proportion. The pieces did not merely fit. They belonged. No grand finale. Only a door that never needed to slam. What began as unraveling revealed itself as arrangement. What you called confusion became guidance. What you feared as ending stood up as beginning. Keep this as you step forward. The ground was never vanishing. It was widening. The map was never your master. It was a season. And now the season turns with grace. Walk on, unhurried, exact, truthful. What is meant to meet you will not require you to leave yourself to reach it. What is meant to remain will not tremble when the room grows still. And when the old paper finally becomes ash, you will see what you were always meant to see, not a life falling apart, but a life, by design, falling into place.